Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to see a full council chamber here of staff. So today is October 7th, 2025, is 9:30 a.m. This is a City of Prescott Subcommittee on Water Issues meeting. We'll start with roll call, please.
Chair Good.
Present.
Member Fruworth.
Here.
Member Gambogi.
I am here.
All are present.
All right, we have 4 items on our agenda today. City Clerk.
First item is approval of the September 2nd, 2025 Council Subcommittee on Water Issues meeting minutes.
Does anyone have any changes or corrections? Hearing none, I'll move to approve the minutes for the September 2nd Subcommittee on Water Issues meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote by signaling with your right hand saying aye. Okay, that passed unanimously. Deputy City Clerk, item number B.
2022 Water Management Policy Discussion, Current Residential and Non-Residential Water Budget Overview for July 1st, 2025 through September 24th, 2025.
Good morning, Water Issues Subcommittee. I'm Brian Reese. I'm the Water Resources Manager here for the city and out of the Community Development Department. So as usual, we'll have an update here for you on our water budget for the year. So this includes water budgets for the residential and the non-residential budgets to receive approval for water between July 1st, 2025 and September 24th, 2025. So as you are well aware, the amended 2022 Water Policy Guidelines 11 through 13 establish a semi-annual water budget for both residential and non-residential projects. So for the budget was set for July 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. For residential projects at 25 acre-feet per year, and the budget was set for non-residential projects also at 25 acre-feet per year. So starting off with the residential projects, we've had 4 residential projects approved. All of them were approved administratively between July 1st, 2025 and September 24th, 2025. The total of the residential projects was 0.87 acre-feet per year, and that leaves a remainder of 24.13 acre-feet for the remainder of the budget year, or the remainder of the budget semi-annual year.
You know, Brian, I'd like to see the street name and street number added to the description. I think it's just, especially when we're talking about non-residential, just stating office building, it'd be nice to know where that is.
We could definitely do that. We'll add a little more information.
Yeah, you got space in there. Just tighten up those columns a little bit, and you could add a street name and a address number.
Okay, we will do that for the next meeting.
Thank you.
And moving on to the non-residential projects. Again, we've had 4 projects approved between July 1st and September 24th. The total of the projects was 1.99 acre-feet with 23.02 acre-feet remaining in the budget period.
Councilwoman Furworth.
Okay, I had to ask, what is a restroom that needs 0.42 acre-feet? I was like, and I was reading this last night laughing. So this was exactly backs up what he was saying earlier. I was like, is this a public restroom that we're opening? You know, or we need a little bit more understanding because it's a lot of water for one restroom.
One restroom. I saw the restroom on there and I said, you know, this is going to come up. And then a phone rang or something, or somebody came into an office and I didn't have a chance to look at it. Do you know about the restroom? Okay, Tracy, if you could maybe come up and just give a quick.
Oh, okay. We were debating which parcel it was, but it is a facility that has a restaurant that is expanding its outdoor food truck services. And so they wanted to provide a nice, larger outdoor restroom to service the customers that are coming to that food truck court.
Okay, so this is a commercial business
This is a
expanding.
commercial business.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Tracy. So with that, yes, on the residential, non-residential budget, we have 23.02 acre feet remaining in the period. And then final table we have for you represents the 10 projects that we've approved in the same period through September 24th, 2025.
Excuse me, Brian, but that still seems like a high number. I mean, if you have a whole apartment, it's 0.17 or 0.13. If you have a whole single-family residence, 0.17, but they want a 0.42 for a restroom?
I'm not sure if
Like 6 or 7 stalls there? I mean, I know they have coffee, but
Yeah.
come on.
well, we can take another look at the demand analysis on that, and we can adjust this number as need be to be representative of what we think it is. So I'll take a quick look at that.
Doesn't that seem a little high to you?
It does seem a little bit. It does seem a
eyeballing
little
it?
high, yeah. Yeah. So we'll take a look at that demand analysis and see what kind of comparable projects they used on that. Make sure it makes sense. And
Right.
I'll make sure to take a look at that. Okay, so and then our last table here today represents existing projects under our projects that have our under existing contract. So we had 10 projects in total. 2 projects are single-family residential homes located in Chino Valley. The rest of the projects represented single-family homes, various development agreements within groundwater subdivisions. So total volume of water under existing contract for the 10 projects, 1.9 acre feet per year. This water is not included in either of the budgets. It's provided in this table just for information purposes on what's coming through on existing contracts for the period. So
tell me about these 2 Molly Ray developments, 0.27 each for a single-family resident.
yeah, so I believe each of these ones had a casita in the back of them or a duplex.
That's the number within Molly Ray. That's what's in the agreement.
Ah, okay. So we have that existing Molly Ray agreement, and per the Molly Ray agreement, single family is provided at 0.27 acre feet per year.
So that's a really old contract then, right? Where is that?
Yeah, it's in Chino Valley. I'm not sure.
Chino Valley?
Streets on it. You think it's so one of the on the north side of town, on the north side of Chino Valley. So
It's on the west side, yeah.
Upper West. Okay.
Yeah, they're all 1 acre lots out there.
Okay.
And can you explain the worm multiplier as the demand method?
Yeah, so we have the water resource management model, and it takes into account all of our utility accounts. And from those billing records, after we have supplied 60 months of billing records, the water resource management model, the worm, will find an average of the single-family residential usage, and then we utilize that average for determining future or projected water uses for projects that are coming in.
So how does that change the 0.17 that we apply to it?
How would that change the 0.17?
Yeah.
So we use the 0.17 for new projects that are
Right.
not under contract or that we don't have
Right.
any type of volume that we are obligated to use under that contract.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what does the worm have to do with it?
So the projects that are groundwater subdivisions, they don't have any allocated water subject to any type of contract, but they're groundwater subdivisions through our assured water supply.
Right.
So we have to we assign them an obligation so that we could track them through the worm, and we use that average for those.
Okay, so that's just an assignment. It's really not a
Exactly.
multiplier.
Yeah. Or we use it as a multiplier if there's multiple residential projects. So if we're looking at a 50 lot subdivision that's going to be coming in, we'll use that as a multiplier for the indoor use on that subdivision.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's all I have for you. Any other questions regarding the budget?
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
I guess that moves us to item C.
Presentation and discussion regarding the progress of the automated metering infrastructure AMI project.
All right, good morning. Water Issues Subcommittee meeting. I'm Nathan Graham. I'm the Water Operations Superintendent for here at the City of Prescott. And today we're going to go over, like you said, an update on the meter changeout program. So as you're all aware, this was approved by council on September 26, 2023. And that was to replace all meters with the new Badger meters. There's approximately 27,018 total meters. And that was to replace our old drive-by read system with this new Orion cellular endpoints, using cellular system to communicate and read meters. And this also, it was to develop a front-facing application for customers, so that way they can view and adjust their usage, set up alerts for, leak alerts, stuff like that. So currently, we have 1,223 people signed up for Ion Water, which is 12%. And that is good. That's pretty much like the national average of, people signing up. So we're right on track for people signing up, which is better than I thought we we're going to be. So funding for this, as you know, so it's $12.5 million from capital improvement funds. Currently, we've expended approximately $6.5 million. We did get $3 million from WIFA as a WIFA grant with the 25% match, and they've pretty much reimbursed us. We use that money; they've reimbursed us.
So is that included in the 12.5, or is that in addition to it?
I think that's included with it. So yeah. Okay, so kind of the progression of installation here. So we officially kicked off March 15th, 2024. We started in Chino Valley, the service area, which is our Route 7, which you can see on that map. It's on the top left. And we completed all that. Route 4, which you can kind of see is kind of on the left-hand side of the map in the blue. All that has been completely changed out. And then we've kind of switched things up. So right now, week 1 of routes 1, 2, and 3 are complete. And we are currently in week 1 of route 5. We move into week 2 of route 1 next. So a total of 10,266 have been replaced, and that was as of September 10th. So that number is, I did not look at it this morning, but it has gone up. So we're currently replacing at a rate of 600 meters per month. So things are going good. Obviously, when we started this project, we thought of, potential challenges, issues. So, the big one is always, procuring, all your materials. So far, we have not run into any problems there, which is very good. Better knock on wood there. Pushback from customers, yes, we have received, some little bit of pushback. Most of it is, like we have there, the fear of the, cellular effect on health. But, we have, all the data. And so most of the time when they call, we kind of walk them through it. And they tend to be happy with, our response. So, but still, there's still some concern out there. Cell coverage, when we got into this, we thought maybe there was going to be some neighborhoods that, had some issues with coverage, but we haven't really run into that. So every meter we put in, we are getting reads, so, which is good. And we started out and tried some of the bad areas, and we're getting them. So it's working out really good.
Have we acquired all the meters, or are we buying those as needed?
We're buying them as needed.
Do we have a contract and a price protection on them?
Yes, we do.
That's good.
So, and then another, potential challenge issue is the increase in bills. These new meters are obviously, accurate, and then you couple that with the rate increases. But so yeah, we receive, some phone calls about increase in bills, but once again, it's hasn't been too bad. We typically walk them through, on the phone. I'm sure billing gets a lot more, calls than we do, but yeah. So, but no, that's good. So planning ahead is where it gets, kind of crazy. So week 2 of Route 1 will be completed by the end of calendar year 2025. First half of calendar year 26 will be weeks 2 of routes 2 and 3. The next maps will kind of make sense because, the map that you see on there is just pretty much all routes. Second half of calendar year 26 will be weeks 2 of Route 5 and week 3 of Route 1. So, each route is broke up into, 4 weeks. So, you have Route 2 and there's a 4 week. So pretty much what we're doing is we're going through weeks, just knocking out the weeks here. So first half of calendar year 27 will be weeks 3 of routes 2, 3, and 5. Second half of calendar year 27 will be weeks 4 of routes 1 and 2. And I think, so it kind of here's where it's kind of broke down into more detail. So this map here is just Route 1. So you can see in the little legend down there. So week 1 of Route 1, that has all been completed. That's that green area. Week 2 of Route 1 will be second half of 25, which that's pretty much where we're at right now. And so on and so on. And so you can kind of see, like the red area is the ranch part of, Yavapai Hills, stuff like that. So same thing as we get into, Route 2, you can kind of see the time frame. We just have it, some rough time frames there, as you can see, like, first half of 26, first half of 27. So that way it gives, the residents, when they get on our website, they can kind of see, roughly when their meter is going to be changed out. So same thing, Route 3, kind of broke up into the different weeks. We skipped Route 4 because Route 4 is all completed.
Councilwoman Farworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question about the folks that are technically in the county but are on city water service. Are we replacing their meters as well, or what's
Yes.
the details? They're within these route zones.
Yes.
Okay.
Every meter is being changed out that we provide water to. So, same thing, Route 5.
Yeah, I know we got one email from a user that travels a lot, and they asked if, because they knew about this and they knew how valuable it would be to be able to monitor their usage while they were traveling. So apparently they asked that a meter be put in, and it was put in outside of this planned installation phasing, and they were very appreciative of that. Now, I don't think we want to publicize that too much, otherwise all kinds of people are saying, I want mine now too, right? But I think if we could find a few examples of people that have had the meters installed and they've identified a leak or a high use, and they were able to minimize the loss of water and the increase in their water bill. That's something that we probably ought to publicize. Now, I don't know if you guys would hear that, or whether that would be over in utility billing or something like that, but there's bound to be some.
Yes, we've received quite a few emails stating that it has saved them. I know billing has as well, and so we do. We forward those on, do the kind of the kudos at our public works staff meetings.
Yeah, let's try to focus on publicizing that a little better, because you'll hear people complaining about, my water bill went up because of this new thing and I don't really need it. And if they realize that there are real tangible benefits from it, then I think that would minimize some of their concern.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Discovered another landscape leak. Yeah. With this, I have my Eye on Water app going. We were out of town, and I was like, honey, why is water going still to that extent? And he was like, no, there's nothing going on. Don't worry, da-da-da-da-da. Well, he came back and found out, yeah, there was a slow landscape water leak happening. Not puddling, so you wouldn't have seen it. But, yeah, so I appreciate the app.
It's a very powerful tool. I mean, it is great. It really is. So public outreach. So current notifications. So as we're getting ready to head into a new route or week of a route, we mail out letters, letting everybody know that hey, within 60, 90 days, we're going to be in there changing out your meter, and here's what to look for. And then once the meter has been changed out, we leave them a door hanger, as you can see. On the slide, and so there's a QR code and websites to get signed up for Eye on Water. There's websites for the help and also to get signed up.
Councilwoman Farworth.
I did hear one complaint where people didn't know it was coming and they had plans, and then all of a sudden the water went off to their home. Is that happening where people are upset because suddenly they have no water? And how long are they out of service when you do a changeover per house?
So on average, I think we're looking at about 10 minutes, they're out of water. And so, with the contractor doing it, they are told to, if they open the lid and they see that meter is spinning like somebody is using water, to not do it. But there is the cases where they're not using water, so we turn it off, change out the meter, and that's when somebody tries. But I'd say average is about 10 minutes that their water.
It shouldn't be a problem unless you're in the shower.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Councilman Gambogi.
I think this is a great idea. We have the new meter. I have the app on my phone. I look at it. I went to the CWAG annual meeting where they had their objectives, and the number one objective for the year was residential water conservation. So I got up and said, I got this app on my phone, and it's being rolled out across the city. So now we're at a good time where we could kind of look and benchmark and see what numbers are out there that we could make suggestions on how to conserve water. Anybody want to see the app? Come on up after the meeting. Can you guess how many people came up? Goose eggs.
Yeah.
But I do look at the app, and if you I got so many things canceled now. Oh, usage. If you look at the usage on the app, it gives you guys say like, don't take so many showers, change out your toilet. Those are general things. I think it would be real helpful if we got together maybe with CWAG and came up with some benchmarks that allow users to, like Ted Gambogi with a family of 3 in a 3,500 square foot house. Well, what numbers should you be seeing? And then you can start looking into what can I do to conserve it a little bit better. I think this is great. And to the mayor's point, I've received a number of emails from residents that, hey, where's my meter? So this rollout map is a pretty good idea because I wouldn't be doing the one-offs because you'll get into you'll be driving trucks everywhere. So, good job, keep it up, and let's work together to come up with some conservation, real life conservation things for the Gambogi family, where I can say, okay, I can do this, and it'll be better.
That's good. Yeah, we will definitely discuss that.
Yeah, maybe you can compare it to your neighbor. I'm conserving better than you are. Maybe not.
Yeah. Make it a competition.
They get their liquids out of a bottle.
APS used to do that between homes in the neighborhood. Yeah. So it does make you wake up.
Yeah, so, with this, future opportunities, does, present some like open house, opportunities, like which we just held one here, 2 weeks ago. Brian, Tracy and I, set up a little tent here and, tried talking to the public about it and stuff like that. So it worked out pretty good. I'm sure Tracy will talk more about, future opportunities for water conservation.
Hey, I have the booth again. I've got Parks and Recs coming with me, but if you want to join me the first Saturday in November, let me know. At the farmer's market.
Okay. Oh, and then I think I skipped over your stat, Brian. What was your stat that you had on here? So it was people who have the app.
Yeah, it's just one study at this point, so it's relatively new. But I think it was out of the University of Southern California, and they were looking at a specific app, and I looked at it. It was comparable to ours, and just the fact that people have the app on their phone and they're thinking about their water helps to reduce savings, and they're coming up with average just a little bit over 6%. So it's a good reason to try to get and promote the app and get it used as much as possible. I'm actually very happy at this point at 12%. That's not bad, and we can improve those numbers. We talk about it all the time. We had our event to start off with, but we're going to continue to move forward and publicize this app as much as we can. See if we can get those numbers up.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you.
Moving right along, item D.
Presentation and discussion regarding ADEQ's PFAS sampling and mitigation program.
Okay. Well, welcome once again. I just wanted to real briefly introduce our speaker today. So, as you know, PFAS has been an issue that we've talked about many times in this meeting. You understand that we're doing a study right now on the PFAS and what we can do with the issues surrounding it. Also, ADEQ has been in contact with the city since I started 2.5, almost 3 years ago, because PFAS also is impacting the private well systems that are surrounding the city and causing challenges to them. So ADEQ has been in contact with us about various issues in the area. So today we have Sarah Conrad. She's the grant project manager for ADEQ for PFAS. And I asked her if she could come over and talk to us about some of the projects and some of the opportunities that they've been helping some of the private companies or private well fields around our area, and just give us a better understanding of what ADEQ is doing for PFAS for us. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Sarah now.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So I'm with ADEQ. I'm in our drinking water section, and I manage some federal funding that is for PFAS mitigation for small and disadvantaged communities. So we'll just get started here. This is my outline today. I'll just touch on what PFAS are, a little bit on the regulations and the sampling that we've done at ADEQ. Most of what I want to talk about is the funding that we have and the resources that we've developed. And then, of course, take any questions that you have. You're probably already familiar with PFAS, but they are the furan polyfluoroalkyl substances developed in the 40s, actually discovered by accident. interestingly. And then it was seen that they have all these great properties, being fire resistant, water resistant, and stain resistant. And we started putting them in all kinds of products. So we see them literally everything around you, which means that they're really everywhere around us in our environment as well.
Councilman Gambogi.
Oh,
I think it's your next point, but I made a note. Are we doing anything to take them out of?
yeah.
We
So
are? What, like what?
I will be getting to that for sure. I'm speaking
you.
specifically on drinking water, but we're also, our hazardous waste unit is also doing projects as well in different areas. So we really
But
focus.
I don't mean reducing the PFAS in the water. I'm reducing the sources of PFAS.
I see. I'm sorry. Yeah. So they are making new generations of PFAS, which are shorter length compounds. And in some cases, they're finding that the shorter compounds go through your body quicker. So they don't stay in your body for 20 years. They stay in maybe for a few days. Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
thanks.
But it's less time for cancer to be, for exposing and increasing your cancer rates is the thought process. But I agree. I think whenever we have an opportunity to eliminate PFAS from our lifestyle, we should be doing that personally. Oops, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. So we've had some research been coming out more and more every day, and they're seeing that it just really affects all kinds of different things. Different PFAS compounds affect different parts of our body. We see things with cholesterol, immune system, pregnancy, getting able to get pregnant, child development issues, and testicular and kidney cancer. And to me, one of the saddest parts is that firefighters, you see that they have these rare cancers, and they're generally linked to PFAS because of the PFAS in the firefighting foam. So I think that's just a really tragic situation. So because of all of this, EPA came out just about a year and a half ago with their maximum contaminant levels, which are drinking water standards. And they came out with these 5 PFAS compounds out of the thousands that there are. They identified these 5, so PFOA and PFOS at 4 parts per trillion, PFHXS, the Gen X, that's one of the new generation, and PFNA at 10 parts per trillion. And then this hazard index, which is if you have 2 or more of these 4 substances, you put them in this little equation, and if your index is greater than 1, then it's an MCL exceedance. And that same rule came out with these timeframes, so that within 3 years, which is where we are now, your public water systems are doing initial monitoring. And then the next 3-year period, they have to include that in the consumer confidence report, and let people know if they missed any testing violations, and they have to start their regular compliance monitoring, so that by April 26 of 2029, they have to be in compliance with those MCLs. So it gives a 5-year period from when the rule went into effect for public water systems to be in effect. However, you may have seen that earlier this year, EPA has come out with an announcement that they look to change the PFAS MCLs. They were going to keep the PFOA and PFOS, and they're going to keep them at 4 parts per trillion. They've announced that they're planning to resend and or reconsider the PFHXS, PFNA, Gen X, and that hazard index. They were supposed to put the rule out this past month in September. We haven't seen it come out yet, but we're sure they're working on it. It should be coming out soon. They had thought they would have it finalized in February. I don't know if they'll be delayed since they're already delayed on the proposal, but we're just waiting to see. They're planning a separate rulemaking on the compliance dates. So that 2029 date, they're proposing moving it to 2031. And that rule they're expecting to be doing this month, proposing it this month, and it would go into effect in April. But of course, this is all just, the plan. So we are operating with the current rules that came out just over a year and a half ago. And we do expect there to be some legal challenges. The Safe Drinking Water Act has this anti-backsliding provision, which means anytime you have an MCL, you cannot weaken it or remove it. And so that is pretty much what they're planning to do with the with the PFHXS, PFNA, and Gen X. My understanding that EPA's argument is a public notification argument, so I'm not a lawyer. We'll see how that turns out. And also with the compliance deadline, the Safe Drinking Water Act has some language in there that says if you put out an MCL, people have to be in compliance with it within 5 years. And so if they change it to 2031, that's now 7 years. However, they're using that same public notification argument as the reason to change these rules. So just up in the air, and we're just waiting to see what comes of it. So we have been sampling, DEQ has been sampling small public water systems around the state. And when I say small in this case, I mean 3,300 people or less. And EPA has been doing UCMR 5, which is the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule, Round 5. And that is for communities, public water systems of 3,300 and more population. So DEQ, we realized that within Arizona, about 85% of our public water systems are small, less than 3,300 people. And so they were not going to be covered by the EPA sampling. So we did our own sampling project. We started that at the very end of 2022. So we've got on our website, and you can get to this through the QR code map, showing all the data that we've collected. So the green are no PFAS detected. The yellow is the some of the 6 regulated PFAS detected, but below the MCL, and the red is at least one of those detected above the MCL. So you're not going to see the Prescott's, even Payson, Phoenix, Tucson. None of those are on this map because that's a different set of data. Sorry.
Councilman Gambogi.
Like Rush Limbaugh used to disparage Rio Lindo, I disparage Casa Grande. I don't see any red dots at Casa Grande, but I see red dots at Prescott and Tucson. So
Yeah.
why the concentration, thank you,
Yeah.
of dots at Tucson and Prescott?
So it's a little hard to say. Tucson, it's believed to be the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. So a lot of these chemicals come out of the firefighting training activities that occur on Air Force bases. So there's a lot of PFAS in Tucson. There's also PFAS near Luke Air Force Base on the West Valley of Phoenix. We see a lot on the Santa Cruz River. Interestingly, we suspect that's coming out through Mexico, just coming down that river. We see a fair amount in Gila County and Yavapai County. Those two we don't have a great answer for why they're coming, because there's no Air Force bases in this area, but there could be other fire training, there could be spills. Those we just don't know.
And PFAS, you said, started in 1940, so that's new stuff. It couldn't be from the old mining, right?
It absolutely could be old PFAS, for sure. Mining, I have not heard that mining uses a lot of PFAS, interestingly, yeah. So these PFAS really stick around in the environment. The old ones especially can linger in your body 20 plus years. So it's a long-term impact that we see. So I just zoomed in on that map to around Prescott. I thought that might be of interest to you. Again, Prescott itself is not on here, nor is Prescott Valley or Chino, because those are the different sample set. But we see it, interestingly, even out in the forest at the Ponderosa Park, which is a cabin community south of Prescott, Pinehurst Water Company, and Groom Creek. All of them have some PFAS there, and then around Prescott as well. I really like this slide. This shows, I think, something fairly interesting. So from DEQ sampling, which again was 3,300 people or less, 12% of the systems we sampled had PFAS above the MCLs. And when you look at EPA's data, it's the same 12%. But what's different, I think, is this shows sort of the rural versus urban effect. So our small systems tend to be, not exclusively, but they tend to be more rural. And of course, the bigger cities are urban. And so we see in the bigger cities, there's more PFAS, the 20% in yellow, where there's PFAS below the MCLs. and fewer samples that came out with no PFAS at all in the bigger cities. So it's interesting. Yeah. So this is really the meat of what I wanted to speak to, and these are the grants. I'm sorry.
May I just clarify the
Yeah.
UCMR5? I'm guessing that
Yes.
means urban cities something.
It actually is the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule Round 5, and that's the name for EPA. I know, so close. That's EPA's nationwide sampling of all communities that serve, all public water systems that there's 3,300 people or more. So, yeah, Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule Round 5. So every few years they do it. They choose different contaminants that are not regulated, and it's really for them to see if they should put in some MCL, some drinking water standards around things that they don't yet have standards for. So this is the bulk of what I would love to tell you about today, and this is really what my role is at DEQ. I manage this Emerging Contaminants in Small and Disadvantaged Communities Grant Fund. We currently have, the slide is slightly out of date because on October 1st, we got another $20 million. So we right now have $84 million for the state of Arizona to assist small, so 10,000 or less population or disadvantaged communities, and that's looking at the median household income with PFAS mitigation. And Prescott does, I did look it up before coming, Prescott is considered a disadvantaged community, and so you would be eligible for this funding. It's our first time here today sort of talking with you about it, but I was pretty excited to see that you were disadvantaged. I honestly was surprised by that. So, good news, sort of. So the funding is federal funding. It comes through the bipartisan infrastructure law. We've been getting it since 2022. We get about $20 million each of those years. We might get another $20 million next year, but it's uncertain. So right now we have the $84 million. It is specific to PFAS. We're using a little bit of it for training, outreach, resources. Most of it is for projects to help communities like Prescott and the small water systems around you. So we've taken all that data.
Councilman Gambogi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you go back to the last slide, please?
Yeah.
It says public water systems that serve 10,000 people or less who are disadvantaged.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good on the slide, but does it comport with the map you showed earlier where there was a concentration of PFAS, like Prescott and Tucson?
So the difference is the slides with the, even these slides, the limit is 3,300 and not 10,000. Does that get at your question?
Not really, because it seems like if you're going to spend $63 million fixing stuff and you want to spend a little bit on training, that ought to be spent in Prescott. And then my additional question is, if Luke Air Force Base and Davis-Monthan are contributing to the PFAS problem, I hope you're not taking that out of the $63 million.
No.
The federal government should be
Absolutely.
funding that on their own.
You're right.
So that says to me that about roughly $63 million ought to come to Prescott. You see where I'm going?
I see where you're going. So yeah, to your point, yes, the Department of Defense is helping Tucson and the Litchfield Park area with PFAS through various, it's all top secret because it's Department of Defense, and but I'm working a lot in Gila County, Yavapai County, Santa Cruz County, and around the Tucson area, because that is where we're seeing all those red dots, and just a few kind of outside that area.
Yeah, the money ought to go where the red dots are.
It is. Yep. So yeah, I guess to that point, and maybe I'll get to it here on this slide. So we've taken all that data. from the sampling, and we've made a priority list. So the highest level of PFAS is a big indicator of where you fall on the priority list. If you're small and if you're disadvantaged, and if you're small and disadvantaged, you fall even higher on the list. We have about 88 systems on the list, so there is. We have a lot of need. You know, if we have $80 million and 88 systems, doesn't mean we're giving each system $1 million because of well, I'll get into it in a couple of slides, but there are some times when we can find a very cost-effective solution, and then sometimes it's not very cost-effective. So I'll talk about that in just a slide or two. But we're not running this as a competitive grant program. We've got the priority list, and so as we get to a community on that list, I reach out and start making contact, which is what brought me here today to start that conversation. As I said, whenever we start a conversation, we first look at the most appropriate solutions because, especially like a small mobile home park, I don't want to put in a $2 million treatment system in a small mobile home park that can't afford to maintain that long term. And so sometimes the better solution in that case might be to run a pipeline to a bigger city and then put in a PFAS treatment at the bigger city, and then the small community just pays their water bill going forward. So those are the sort of solutions that I always try and look at when I start a new conversation. Of course, we need agreement from the city to participate. We have design engineers and construction contractors already under contract. So DEQ enters into those contracts and we pay them directly. So it's not a reimbursement or a match of any sort. It does require Build America and Buy America with any funding spent.
Are you familiar with the Hokagon area in North Prescott, just west of Williamson Valley Road?
No,
There's
not
an area in
offhand.
there that had a foundry several decades ago. And there's a commercial restaurant that created a mini little water district.
Yeah, Dry
And
Gulch.
they're dry gulch.
Yeah.
And they're extremely high.
Yep.
And almost every other well user residential area around them
Yep.
also has extremely high numbers.
Yeah.
Some of them, they were offered free testing,
Yeah.
and they declined it because they didn't want to know, so that
Yeah.
they could sell their property and claim, I had no idea.
Yeah, I see.
But it's a pretty serious problem over there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right where you see Beverly Gardens and Jackson Acres here. Beverly Gardens is just up the street from Dry Gulch. And then, of course, that's the Forbing Park area, right, with all the individual homes. So I'm generally familiar. The work I do is really with community water systems, so I hear about the impact of the private homes, but my focus is the public water system itself.
So you don't have any plans for that area? Do you have any ideas on how that might be mitigated?
We've been talking with EPA. So EPA has this Closing America's Wastewater Gap technical assistance funding, and that's really how I got brought into that conversation. So that area is all on septic, right? And so I think that they've talked with the city, perhaps. Yeah.
Steve Olfers, Utilities Manager. We have been in talks with EPA and have had preliminary discussions about how to solve that issue. Yavapai County, as well as the state and the EPA, are involved in those discussions. We've only had 2 meetings, so we really haven't gone very far. So we will be bringing those types of discussions to this committee and to the council when it comes to that time.
Kind of a difficult issue to deal with. That whole area has roads that don't meet our standards. We can't annex them. They're not eligible for annexation.
Okay.
Most of them are on septic and well.
Yeah.
But the amount of contamination is really high. Seems like it's almost like a Superfund site for PFAS.
So we are involved in those discussions, and at the appropriate time, we'll bring it. There's nothing to decide right now. We're just
Yeah.
trying to figure out what direction to go.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think I was on this slide. So whenever like I said, when I start a conversation with the community, I really consider the size of.
Councilman Gambogi had a question.
I'm so sorry.
This is about PFAS, but not to your PowerPoint. The other city council meeting, they were proposing putting a soccer field at Lindley Park. And to do that, they were putting down AstroTurf. And I understood AstroTurf to be a source of PFAS. Somebody on the council said, well, it's only a source of PFAS when it's manufactured. Is that true?
So I'm not an expert in that part at all. What I have heard is that when they are manufacturing, they will often put PFAS on the thing that extrudes the thing, and to kind of make it like slide out, basically. So then it is got it on its surface as it comes out.
So with weathering and time, the PFAS would seep into the ground?
I can't answer that question. I personally have the same conversation at home because we're talking about putting in artificial turf in our backyard.
Yes, you're saying, I don't know.
So it doesn't leach? It doesn't leach from a final product?
Hi, this has been Tracy, Water Resource Project Manager. This is a question that I've started investigating. I do have one article where there's been research done on a variety of products. It may have come out of the Water Use It Wisely websites down in Phoenix, but there are studies going on about the different brands, the different compositions of AstroTurf, and I can't say that every brand and every product does, but the studies are leaning towards yes. It's in the products, in many of them, and as they decompose, there is an impact. How large that is, I don't have that information yet, but I will be looking into it as it relates to the work that we do for water conservation. And when I have more information, probably as we roll into the spring, I'll be able to share that out with you.
Please do.
So it's not known whether it leaches out of a finished product?
Yes, that's what the reports that I have read.
That it does?
Yeah, they're little summary articles based on some reports. So yes, and so this is one reason why, there are multiple reasons, but it's one reason why many communities are swaying away from encouragement of the use of AstroTurf. So I'm intended to gather more information as I can over the winter for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you look at California where they outlawed plastic straws and they replaced them with paper straws. But what's in the paper straws? PFAS. So there's another example of a government stepping in and say, we're here to help.
So on this slide, I wanted to talk about how we consider each public water system and really try to look for a tailored solution for them. The first thing I look at is there any neighboring system that they might interconnect with? Because as I said before, that's much, much cheaper in the long run. Even if I pay for a full treatment system through the grant, I cannot pay for O&M costs with this grant funding. And so these small mobile home parks, some of the numbers we've run, they'd be increasing their monthly water bills by about $300 per home. I mean, nobody can afford that just to maintain the PFAS treatment system. And on top of that is all the other money that the system needs just to, repair leaks and staff and everything like that. So that's always our first, yes.
Councilwoman Furworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question, because I'm going to go back to our little west side of Prescott in the county question. So you would be open to paying to put a neighborhood on a sewer system, plowing through lots of granite to make that happen, to connect it with ours that's on the main drag, if we would agree to these kind of things?
Potentially. We would need to see a lot more. I mean, I don't have any details yet about any of these projects. As we said, they're very, very preliminary, but it's on the table as an option.
Interesting. Thank you.
Other things we look at with small systems, if they have more than one well, can we inactivate the dirtier well, or activate maybe a previously inactivated well, which has now less PFAS, and blend. We've not yet had any feasible options to do a well rehabilitation or deepening or a new well. Those are risky, right? You don't know if they're going to be successful, but there might be a situation where we would consider it just to try and prevent having to put in PFAS treatment. When we are putting in PFAS treatment, we're limiting ourselves to the best available technologies. That's the BAT. That is EPA established technologies that have, well, I shouldn't say EPA established them. EPA has identified these technologies as best available because there is a wealth of data over many years showing that they're effective against PFAS. So that's ion exchange, granular activated carbon, and reverse osmosis. Just a little side note, the point of use, point of entry devices, which are the little devices you put under your sink, a little RO system perhaps, those currently are not certified to meet the PFAS MCLs. Right now, their certification, if they have it for PFAS, says 20 parts per trillion combined PFAS, so it doesn't meet the 4. They are working on that certification claim, so that could be an option in the future for very small communities, but even if they put them in, we need to have them sample them, a third of all of them each year. So over 3 years, every home has a sample taken to make sure that that device is still operating as it should. And of course, then we have, access to private homes. So those get really tricky, and DEQ tends to shy away from point of use, point of entry whenever we can. So the grant funding that I manage, we can use it for a lot of the different phases of the project, just not the O&M. So we can collect more water quality samples, confirm the PFAS. If there are multiple wells, try and identify which well is the source. We can gather water quality parameters, so trying to find out what the background water quality is. Is there also arsenic or nitrate that might compete with the PFAS treatment? The evaluation of compliance options is where I usually start with a small system. I hire an engineer and I say, look at the system, dig in deep, put on your thinking cap, give me 2 options that are non-treatment and 1 option that's treatment. Think of anything that might work, write it all up, give us a cost summary so that we can make an informed decision of the best way to move forward. So then we can move forward with design. The funding can also be used for permitting fees, project management, any cost overruns, and of course the actual capital project itself. If there are other contaminants, as long as the primary purpose and 51% of the grant funds are for PFAS, we can address other contaminants. So I wanted to just share with you a few projects that we've got ongoing in this part of the state, starting with Gila County. The town of Star Valley has 3 of their wells have PFAS, they have 7 or 8 wells. 3 of them had PFAS. They inactivated those, and we're working with them to construct a booster pump station so that they can just move the water around more effectively to accommodate the fact that those 3 wells are out of service. There are also 3 mobile home parks in the town of Star Valley that we are paying to interconnect those 3 to the town of Star Valley so they become customers. I've only got one of them here on this slide. That's Little W Ranch. That particular system also had nitrates, so we were solving two problems with the interconnection. Down in Globe, we've got 2 mobile home parks that we're connecting to the city of Globe as well. Those projects, the ones in orange are essentially completed. The final site walks were last week. Then over in the town of Payson, we have been working with them for about a year now. EPA has done a pilot study for PFAS, and we hired a consultant to do a feasibility report to see if we can cluster some of their PFAS treatment, because they have 20 of their 30 wells have PFAS above the MCLs. So they have a situation. We are working or about to start the design for a centralized treatment system that would only treat 5 of their wells, though. So it's a pretty significant project that we're just about to undertake. We've completed this Twin Lakes Mobile Home Park. That's another mobile home park that we did an interconnection for. It connected them right to the town of Payson, so they're now a customer of the town. Ponderosa Park Dwid, that's just south of here. We're just starting pilot testing. Their water quality is pretty rough. They've got uranium and iron. All of those things will make PFAS treatment extra challenging. So we're starting with 6 months of pilot testing, and pilot testing is where you put, as you can see in the top picture for Payson, we put those tubes with different media in them, and we run that for 6 months or a year, gather a lot of data, and see which is going to be the best media to treat that long term. Yeah, sorry.
Is this Ponderosa Park that's just south of City of Prescott?
It is.
It is. Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Acme Water Blue Hills, which is just in Dewey Humboldt. They also have PFAS as well as arsenic. We did a well investigation there. That well investigation is finished. What we did there is we did what's called dynamic flow profiling, where they collect samples at different depths in the water column as well as the flow at different depths, and try and correlate where PFAS might be coming in compared to how much flow is coming in. And the hope is that we identify an area that has high flow and low PFAS, and we can packer off, close off parts of the well screen, so we're only getting the low PFAS, high production areas. Unfortunately, we did not find such an area at Blue Hills. And so that project is a little bit on hold, because the next one there on the screen is the Highway 69 corridor PFAS investigation. We've hired a hydrogeologic firm to do a desktop study looking at geology, hydrogeology, well construction, and water quality, see if they can come up with any conclusions, whether there's areas to site a new well, or we could do treatment, or what. Just kind of, again, said to them, please look at this and give us some thoughts. So that is underway. They're about half finished with that. We expect that to be completed in November. And I think that will direct us when we help Acme Blue Hills with the next phase. And then the town of Chino Valley, we have Corollo just started RSSCT, that is rapid small scale column testing. Their water quality is better. And so they were able to take, I think it was 5 55-gallon drums, a big water sample. So they're sending it off to a lab to run it through different medias to see which is going to be the best. And then Corollo will do the design of that treatment. So I just wanted to share, we've got a little bit of press, especially for the work that we've done in Gila County. These are from last year when we kicked off all those projects that are now wrapping up. And then this brings us, I think, to something we've been talking about a little bit. There are some systems around Prescott that I've been just digging into and wondering if there might be some opportunities for the city to provide water to them. They're just listed here. I understand that that's a big ask of the city, that there's a lot of conversations to be had, but I just wanted to put it out there as something, if we could consider it, that would be greatly appreciated.
How's that Globe facility based upon the extreme flooding they had last week?
So my coworker went out last week, and he said they were fine. In fact, one of the mobile home parks is right next to the wash that goes through Globe. I forget the name of it, and he said they were. He didn't really see any impact to that particular mobile home park. I think it's probably a localized situation. And then I just wanted to end with some resources that DEQ has. First of all, our website you can get to from that QR code. We've been doing some webinars. The last was last November, and the November before. We had hoped to do another one this November, but with the uncertainty around the PFAS rule with EPA's rulemaking going on, we're going to postpone that. But these, I think, are of general interest. We go in a lot deeper to some of the things I've been talking about. They're both about 3.5 hours long, so if you do decide to watch them, you might just set aside a whole evening for that. We also created these PFAS mitigation decision trees. These have actually been getting national attention. You can get them through that QR code. Basically, they step you through sort of a screening level of what you might do to resolve PFAS. So we start with, like I said, non-treatment. Is there anything you can do that doesn't involve treatment on that first a flow chart there or decision tree? And if there's nothing, then you go to the general treatment selection decision tree, and it will direct you to GAC or ion exchange or reverse osmosis. A lot of those questions are water quality based. So, what is your turbidity? Do you have problems with E. coli, silicon? There's just a whole bunch of different water parameters. So they're really intended for a technical audience, but they've been getting a lot of press. And then this is a point of use, point of entry device. As I mentioned a few slides back, they currently don't, their certification does not meet the MCLs for PFAS right now. It says 70 here, but there are some that are certified down to 20. So we created this guidance document you can download if you'd like. Basically, DEQ's point is that we will not be issuing any permits for PFAS treatment using point of use, point of entry until the certifications align with the MCLs. And so that was my last slide. I'm happy to take any other questions.
Well, I just know this is such a massive, massive problem.
Yeah.
And the costs to mitigate it are so incredibly high. And right now, we really only have activated charcoal, media absorption, some kind of inadequate osmosis types of technology that can be applied. But those are, I would expect that those are going to be probably superseded by new technology that's coming into the marketplace. I mean, there are some now that are interesting, but they're not scalable yet. And having this kind of a deadline set up to have all these systems complying by then means you're going to have to invest in archaic technology. And then you get a new one that turns out to be a much better solution. And then you got to dump what you've already invested in and try to upgrade into something that's more efficient and cost effective. And then you have the problem with most of the commercial labs throughout the United States. About 70% are owned by one entity. So, and I think that entity is in the European Union. So being able to get samples back in a rapid manner as you continue to try to develop mitigation techniques is a problem in and of itself. What kind of turnaround are you getting right now on samples going to labs?
They are actually speeding up. It was originally 4 weeks. They're down to 2 or 3 weeks. And I will say the lab that we use a lot, Legend Technical Services, I know that they are owned and operated out of St. Paul because that was when I went to undergrad, I worked at that lab for a little bit, and so I know the owners there personally. So they are a domestic lab, at least, yeah. And there's one down in North Phoenix.
Well, for those water systems that are choosing to have media absorption, then you have to take that media out once it's the concentrations are at a certain level.
Yeah.
And then they're considered hazardous waste. So wouldn't that increase the amount of hazardous waste that has to be dealt with somehow nationally? I mean, you really can't incinerate it because you end up creating more hazardous waste in the atmosphere.
Interestingly, Calgon Carbon, they have a facility down in Gila Bend. And just last week, I saw a presentation by them. They have a peer-reviewed research paper out. That incinerator can now go high enough to detach, to break the carbon bonds, the carbon fluorine bonds apart, and they're not seeing any atmospheric emissions that have PFAS in them. So they're very excited. Yeah. I think we're very fortunate here in Arizona to have them. Ion exchange, you're right, that is considered a hazardous constituent. And right now DEQ recommends that it's disposed of in a hazardous waste landfill for, cradle to grave liability. The closest one is in Nevada. So that does add some cost. It's absolutely true.
Because you have to not only have a place to dump it, but then you have to transport it too.
Yep.
Well, it's going to be a interesting 4 or 5 or 10 years
100%.
as this whole thing develops. I heard someone mention they think the whole market for this is about somewhere between $1.5 and $2 trillion.
Wow. Wow.
So when you have a market of that size, you're going to have people stepping in to try to come up with innovative solutions
Yeah.
that they can then sell to these DWIDs and the other ones. Yeah, I'm just really concerned about that whole Okagon area and Dry Gulch and the
Yeah.
foundry over there and
Yeah.
all those people that live in those little areas and they got their own septic and well
Yeah.
and they're using it.
Yeah. I share the concern for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Any other
you.
questions? No?
One thing I should mention, I should have had a slide. We're in the process of planning a PFAS forum in Phoenix, March 13th, if that's the Thursday. We've done this for 2 years now. This will be the third one. It's a full day. We just get really in depth with PFAS. We invite the municipalities, engineering firms, consulting firms, and all that, and just really get into a lot of the nitty gritty that we've been touching on today. So you may find that interesting.
When is it?
It's March 12th or 13th, whichever is a Thursday. It's down in Phoenix. We just started the planning process. We've had 2 planning meetings, so it's still being developed.
The 12th is a Thursday and
Okay.
the 13th,
It's-
God forbid, is a Friday.
Ooh, yeah. No, it's definitely the Thursday.
PFAS contamination forum on Friday the 13th. Good planning. Yes.
I will remember from now on that it's the 12th. All right.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We appreciate it. Any closing comments? Brian? No? Tracy? Sure.
Hello again, Tracy Beasley, Water Resources Project Manager. I have a couple of slides here for some general updates before I launch into those. I did want to make an additional comment related to the conversation about AstroTurf. I will share with Brian Reese the resources that I currently have. I'll go ahead and get those to him, and I'll poke around on the websites that I had already found to see if I can get you any additional information now. Okay, so just a couple of small updates, very excited to share with you. As Nathan mentioned a few minutes ago, the first one here is we had our first Eye on Water event on the 26th of September. And I know from early conversations with him and with Steve, there was a desire to get to a certain percentage of customers before we started a larger launch because, of that, well, I want one situation. And so they have reached, I understand, more than 30%, a third of customers at this point. And so that's part of why this is now an exciting point for us. So we attempted to hold this event outside because I wanted, the art walk customers and everyone else enjoying a Friday evening for the later session to see us. And we had 20-something mile-an-hour winds and rainstorms. And so we had some attendance in the earlier afternoon, which is very exciting. I got to work with Julie from the Water Ops Department and got a lot of information and insight from her, which is going to help me support water ops with programs, initiatives, conversations, brochures, things like that. So even though we had small attendance, we did have an attendance, and we now have more information on how we can promote this within other departments in the city. And so I feel like it was a very successful first step for us. My goal for the next one is sometime in January, early February, to have a partnership with the library. So we'll do one inside, and hopefully every 3 to 4 months we'll do a public event. One of the reasons for this is because in working with customers with their rebates, it's very clear that people in our community really benefit from that person to person. Please show me, please walk me through how to do this. And so this is one way that we're reaching and intending to reach our customer base. Over the fall, it's my intention to add some of the additional components with that. So we've spoken about print materials, and so I plan to work on a brochure that will have some of these comments. And of course, we have the city website. And so, now that we're moving into the winter season, that's something that I can work on a little bit more. So that's sort of where we are on that. Hopefully you're seeing the ads we're putting in the paper. We did run 2 ads for Ion Water in the paper. We're running ads in the Sunday paper. So that has the best coverage. So that's what we're doing there. This past week, we also had the annual Prescott Water Festival with the Project Wet folks. This is something that we participate in every year. They had all the 4th grade students there. I believe it was about 350 students. This is the area I was working in, teaching some of the groundwater education concepts to the students. And it's just a lovely way for us to, sustain relationships with the county and with the Project Wets folks. We also gave from Water Resources a small donation to help support this event this year. When we talk about getting the word out about things like Ion Water and our other programs, I want to highlight the green box in the center there. This is my official invitation to the city mayor, to our council members, to any city staff or officials that would like to help us get our public service announcements updated. It's very simple, very easy. Ben from permitting and myself did the round of PSAs that you should be hearing on the radio stations at this point. So please listen for those. The next PSA is probably going to be related to that January, February Ion Water event. So if you have any questions about it or potential interest, please reach out. Excellent, thank you. Would love to work with you all. It's really simple. It's just right around the corner from our office. But the PSAs that are out currently are rain barrel rebates, toilet rebates, the grant program that we've highlighted in partnership with the Friends of the Verde. We have a radio announcement out there for that one. And of course, another month of our time of day watering at this point in time. In addition to the PSAs, I'm excited to say that we have our first YouTube video on the city channel. The Friends of the Verde River and I did an online program similar to the one that we did in person at the center to go over what opportunities are available within this partnership. And so that is up on the city YouTube channel. And there is a connection from the prescottwater.com/rebates page. And let's see, I had one other one that came up. What's the other thing? Feel like there was one more update, but that's okay. Just wanted to give you some quick updates on the things that are happening currently. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, PSAs or PFAs.
Oh, wait a minute. What is the third? Oh, I'm sorry. Brian had an answer. Oop. He turned it off. No, that was the 3. Yeah, you were talking about the, there we go.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. You were thinking about the photos with Project What, I believe.
All right, I think that concludes our meeting today. Thank you very much for your presentations and your presence, and I appreciate those tens of thousands of people online that are watching this. So we'll keep you updated as these developments proceed. This meeting's adjourned.